Welcome back to Candy's Classic Game Shrine, everyone, and today on Adventures in the Third Dimension, we're going to review Innsmouth no Yakata for the Virtual Boy. Innsmouth no Yakata for the Virtual Boy was developed by B-Top and published by IMAX. This Japanese exclusive released on October 13th, 1996. Innsmouth no Yakata, sometimes referred to as Innsmouth no Yakata, is a Japanese exclusive for the Virtual Boy, yet is almost entirely in English. This game is the only first-person shooter on the console and is loosely based on the story The Shadow over Innsmouth by H.P. Lovecraft. The translated story goes like this. In 1922, in a certain rural town in Massachusetts, there was a forest called the Forest of the Dead, and even the local people did not go near its outskirts. Deep inside its forest, the story begins with a lone man entering a certain mansion. At last, I've found it. The man was gazing at a book with an exhausted look. The man's occupation was a humble detective. One day, a large sum request had been brought to him. It was that he was to go to a certain mansion and take back a book, the task that is now on the verge of nearing its end. However, the man thought to himself, what on earth kind of book would give such a hefty reward? Wiping what was attached to the skin cover of the book with his hand, he read the letters that were written in Greek. Necronomicon. There it was written, Beauty, wealth, and honor shall be brought about by the spell. For this reason, people try to obtain the Book of the Dead, just like butterflies that flock to the nectar of flowers. The man, led by his curiosity, opened the book. In an instant there was a distortion, which could have taken forever. When the man regained consciousness inside of the mansion, he noticed that the interior had drastically changed. Similar to a Mobius strip, it seemed like there was no end to the corridors. The man began walking in search of an exit. At that time, a voice not of this world resounded within the mansion. And then, even strange footsteps. The sound of the footsteps was coming closer. The man grasped his revolver and quieted his breath. And then something appeared in front of the man. The man ran away screaming. What emerged from the darkness was no doubt an Innsmouth monster, which had been handed down in dark mythology. The man continued to run while his legs tangled in fear. However, at this time the man did not know that this mansion exists in a gap between dimensions, and that after entering into this mansion, you get headaches with no sign of subsiding. The end road of the one who has been seen in Innsmouth begins. It is also said that the key of the dragon can open the door to life, which was barely remaining. Now, in order to play the game, the best thing to do is to familiarize yourself with the controls. The left D-pad moves your player about the halls of the mansion. The right D-pad aims the crosshairs for your gun. A and B are not used during main gameplay. L loads the gun and also cancels selections on the password screen. R fires the gun and enters selections on the password screen. Start pauses the game, and select switches over to the full map screen. I should note that like all of the previous Japanese titles, there exist English translations to the manuals to help English speakers understand and enjoy the games. Upon starting the game, you're immediately thrown into the mansion. Your goal is to collect the key of the dragon and find the exit to every floor. Along your way, you'll encounter a variety of different monsters and several items to help you survive. Some of the items you can find are bullets, health hearts, the key obviously, black orbs that show you the item placement on the floor, and white orbs that show the layout of the floor's map. Monsters can be heard approaching you in the distance, and as they get closer, their growls and footsteps will get louder. These sounds help add to the suspense of the game and set you up for the minor jump scares that can occur. One of the ways that this happens is when a monster randomly bursts through a wall to attack you, or if one of them is sitting around a corner to kill you, unbeknownst to you. Make sure you hurry through the floors because each one has a time limit you need to escape in. If you don't find the key and exit before the time runs out, it's game over. If you receive a game over, you'll then be given a password so that you can continue. You'll also get passwords every time you complete a floor. One of the things that I enjoyed about this game is its unique progression. There's many different paths your playthrough can branch out into depending on how well you complete the current floor, and each path has a unique ending depending on how well you did overall. During a stage, you'll notice that stage's music changes in tone after a while. If you beat a floor before that music changes, you'll progress to the better stages and towards the better endings. There are 4 endings in total, with Ending A being the true ending. Ending A is also the most difficult to get because in order to achieve it, you need to make sure that you achieve the high path on every floor and not die once. Spoiler alert, I will be going over the endings now. If you want to avoid them, please skip ahead. Starting with Ending D, you see a storm over the mansion disappearing while an image zooms into view. Your character is then seen standing outside of the mansion when all of a sudden the foundation of it collapses as if it were a dream. Then a screen appears that says, "This is not the true ending. Let's retry." Ending D. Ending C was one of my favorite endings personally, and I felt it was more canon with the book that the game was based on. You see the storm outside of the mansion again, and your character is seen outside of it, but then this time he's struck by lightning and transformed into one of the monsters you've been running from this whole time. Ending B is another great ending. The scene begins the same way as the last 2 endings. The storm outside disappears, followed by your character standing outside of the mansion. However, this time, a monster's hand suddenly appears and reaches out to grab you, and when you turn around, you're faced with a pack of monsters. You immediately pull out your revolver and start taking out the monsters, but suddenly you run out of ammo, and they keep getting closer and closer. The scene fades to black and the storm reappears outside of the mansion, leading you to believe that your character has been transformed or killed. Ending A is supposed to be the true ending for the game, but in my opinion isn't as good as Ending C. In Ending A, it begins as all of the other endings do, but this time, when your character appears outside, he takes a huge sigh of relief, throws his revolver into the air, and it rotates with the moon in the background of the game, and then your credits roll. If you're looking to add this game to your library, you're going to want a boxed copy, which runs between $100 to $150. This is another one of those weird titles where the loose copy is just as expensive, if not more expensive to buy, than a complete in-box one. Not many loose copies have been sold recently, and the one that was sold most recent that I could find sold for about $120. So with that said, is the game worth buying? If you can find it for an affordable price, yeah, I think you'll be treated to a one-of-a-kind FPS on the Virtual Boy. Sure, this is a Japanese exclusive, but there's very little Japanese in the game. It can be fully played and enjoyed by English speakers. The only Japanese text you see are the title and the ending credits. Many people write this game off as terrible, but I struggled to see what was that bad about it outside of the audio quality during most of the gameplay. Virtual League Baseball is still the worst game in my opinion. So that was my review of Innsmouth no Yakata for the Virtual Boy. Let me know what you guys thought of the game and the video in the comments below, and until next time guys, take care.